Welcome back to Zestology. I'm Tony Wrighton. As always, I like to record this podcast out and about. And today I'm in a place that I have not been before. It may sound a little unusual, but I am on the beach in London. In this part of London, when the tide goes out, there's it's not exactly a sandy beach. It's a slightly gravelly, muddy, smelly beach. But all the same, I'm on the beach and bathing in sunshine, kind of spring sunshine on the beach by the River Thames in London. The tide is out and it's really quite nice. So feeling good about life. And there's a boat in the distance. You might hear a boat and you might also hear a little bit of traffic because it is still London. Coming up on today's podcast, an app which might help you track some of the health and wellness statistics in your life. Hay fever hacks, a new diet which I've been following, which has been working really well, and health and wellness festivals in London and around the world. That's all on the way in what could be a regular new podcast feature, ZestHacks. One of the most popular pages on my website for a while has been the hacks page, where I talk about the favourite life hacks, energy hacks, biohacks, health hacks that I've been following. I suppose that's the topic of the podcast in general, isn't it? General tweaks and hacks for better health. And I thought it'd be nice every once in a while to do that in podcast form as well. I suppose I am a bit of a geek when it comes to tracking and optimizing my health, and every once in a while it's nice to talk about the stuff that's been working and the stuff that hasn't. So I thought what I'd do is a regular ZestHacks podcast feature detailing the kind of stuff that I've been trying out, the supplements and the gadgets and the lifestyle practices and everything else. Also the stuff that's been making the news, and give it a hacks rating out of 5. Another reason for doing this is I send out my 3 Zesty Things newsletter each week, and it's a bit of a labour of love that actually. It takes quite a long time to put together. A lot of the stuff that goes in there doesn't feature on the podcast. So if you don't subscribe to that newsletter already, you can head to tonywrighton.com and you can get that every Monday morning. You might hear a little bit more detail on this podcast on some of the stuff that's been going out in that newsletter. And if you like this feature, this Zest Hacks kind of style podcast, or if you don't, then let me know. Okay, let's start on today's Zest Hacks. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was an app. So one of the things that I've kind of featured quite a bit on this podcast and on the blog is apps to track one's wellness. I quite like numbers and geekery when it comes to tracking how good life is, how well the things that I'm trying to optimize are going. And to put in more detail, if I take a supplement, it's very hard to tell objectively or subjectively whether it's working well for me, because I might be doing loads of different things at well. But if you track it at the same time, then you're more likely to get some information. And then the more you track, the more likely you are to be able to say, okay, I realise now that on the days that I go to the gym, for example, or on the days that I take a certain supplement, my energy levels are 6% up. I like that kind of tracking and hacking, and I haven't found an app that does it perfectly. To be honest, I use a spreadsheet, but I have been using a new one recently that I thought was quite fun and I wanted to talk about on this podcast. So the first hack is an app called YoLife. It's a small startup. The guys have actually been in touch with me. The most fun thing about this app is it gives you your expected health age based on a series of questions that you fill out. So it asks you loads of questions. Do you smoke? Do you exercise? How often do you eat green vegetables? That kind of thing. And then it says, based on this, you're going to live to 97 years of age. You're going to be super healthy. It's quite fun because you can then start to optimize it with a kind of a diet plan or a wellness plan or a workout plan. And all of a sudden I've added 2 years to my life. It's quite depressing though if you go for a night out and it takes away 2 years from your life. I'm kind of paraphrasing, and you need to download the app. I think it's free to download, so you can download the app and have a play with it and see how it goes. But the first app, it's a tracking app, it's a health app, and it's called YoLife. And as I say, that questionnaire at the start is quite a lot of fun, and it makes you realise that some of the things you're doing might not be so good for you. I still don't think it's the perfect tracking app, and I haven't seen the perfect tracking app out there. But it's as good as any out there. And I'm going to give it a ZestHacks rating of 3 out of 5. So I've been playing with YoLife, the app, quite a bit. Okay, next up is a new hay fever product, which really seems to be capturing people's imagination. I mean, one of the things I thought about this regular Zest update is that it could be what I've been up to, but it could also be what's been making the news and what is popular as well. So this new hay fever product, I've been trying it because I've been doing this low histamine diet. I've been trying to cut my histamine levels, and it's spring, it's that time of year where I'm kind of trying to tweak to get rid of hay fever, and I know so many people around certainly this country and the world, and it's an increasing number every year it seems, suffer from hay fever, from kind of allergies and pollens in springtime. And so I wanted to talk about this new hay fever product. It's called, and this is going to be quite hard for me to pronounce, you try saying this 3 times in a row, Pycogonol, Pycog, Pycogonol. And it's made out of trees. Aren't trees amazing? It's actually made out of French maritime bark. So what's happened is there are plenty of over-the-counter kind of medicines for hay fever, aren't there? And loratadine is probably the most famous one. You can get it in booths, you can get it in chemists all over the place. Some of them are drowsy, some of them are non-drowsy, and they're medicines. But as you know, one of the things about this podcast is to hack by taking natural supplements if possible. So, as far as possible, I like to kind of go back to a primal natural state. And if that's not possible, take a supplement or do some kind of lifestyle practice to get you back to that natural state. And if possible, it'd be nice to take natural supplements for hay fever as opposed to over-the-counter medicines. So loratadine, I have taken that in the past, and I know that does work a certain amount for hay fever. But what's interesting about this French maritime bark, or Pycogonol as it's called, is that they've done plenty of studies comparing that to medicines, and they've found that Pycogonol works just as well, and in many instances better. Who knew it? Trees, the natural world, working as well as an over-the-counter hay fever supplement. It's not just me, actually. I've got friends who've been trying this supplement as well and have noticed a marked reduction in hay fever symptoms. So if you're suffering a little bit with a runny nose at the moment or streaming eyes, the one that I've been taking is Pycogonol, and it's not that cheap. I think it's you seem to pretty much get a lifetime supply, but it's I think it's over 40 quid for this supplement for loads of it. So you take two supplements a day for the first week and then one a day, and definitely my allergies at the moment are looking pretty good. You might have heard me in other podcasts talk about how I've been taking various antihistamines, but I think French maritime tree bark is one of the best at the moment. So I'm going to give that a ZestHacks rating of 4 out of 5. If you've been trying French maritime pine bark, is it? Or tree bark? Anyway, it's Pycogonol, and it's been working for you, then let me know. TonyWrighton.com. In terms of other antihistamines which are natural, I wanted to mention a couple of others. There is a Seeking Health supplement called Histaminx, or it might be pronounced Histamine X. Okay, so the word histamine without the E and instead an X on the end. And that is a compilation of various natural substances. I've been taking that morning and evening as well. And I give that 4 out of 5 as well. And you might think, why is he taking so many antihistamines? Well, since I've been on this antihistamine diet, I've been feeling fantastic. Sharper, more energy, gut loads better, sleeping better. And I was talking about tracking. One of the ways that I track my health is through the Oura ring. And no joke, since I've been doing the antihistamine diet and antihistamine supplements, my heart rate overnight has dropped about 10 beats a minute. In fact, it was averaging about 59 beats a minute, and it's now averaging about 50 beats a minute. So it's quite a change. And supposedly that's associated with better health. And I'm putting it down to the antihistamine diet. I don't know what else it can be. That's pretty much what I've been changing. So we've got Pycogonol, or French maritime pine bark. I'm giving that 4 out of 5. I'm giving Histamine X 4 out of 5. And there's one other histamine supplement that I've been taking. If you're suffering from allergies or you want to just try this low histamine diet, you might just want to do a little bit more research, and you could listen to the podcast that I did with Dr. Janice Jadeja. And by the way, if you like geeking out on this stuff, then you'll really enjoy that podcast. If you're a casual Zestology listener, you don't like going too deep, that one might be a bit too hardcore for you. That's fair enough if it is. But that was a fairly recent podcast with Dr. Janice Jadeja. But the final supplement that I've been taking is quercetin. Again, natural supplement. And I would give that 3 out of 5. On a ZestHacks rating. So definitely worth trying. All these things worth trying. Will I take that long term? Not really quite sure, but I'm certainly drawn to taking natural supplements as opposed to over-the-counter medicines whenever I can. The low histamine diet, just to go into a bit more detail on that, when I first looked into it, it sounded so niche that to be honest, I've been hearing about it for well over a year in kind of health circles and slightly discounting it. Mainly because it's a bit restrictive and it's quite annoying. The ketogenic diet is quite easy compared to this one, because the keto diet is pretty much, if it's got carbs in it, don't eat it. If it's kind of fatty or vegetables, then it's absolutely fine. It's a bit more complicated with histamine because lots of foods that you might not expect have histamines in them. There's a duck waddling towards me, you might be able to hear it. Lots of foods that are quite nice have high histamine levels. If you're on the low histamine diet, it pretty much rules out chocolate, avocado, strawberries, citrus, and leftovers, which is really annoying because I like all those things. And leftovers, it's quite nice to cook a big batch and then store the rest of it in the fridge. Straight away, you might have switched off there, I realise that. But in terms of antihistamine or low histamine diet, if you're still listening, I would give it probably a 4.5 out of 5 ZestHacks rating, because I felt so good on it, and because I've noticed when I've cheated on it a bit, then I've started to feel a bit worse, and the heart rate's gone up overnight. Weird. The main thing that I really love, and is such a healthy snack, well, it used to be, was dark chocolate. I can't have that anymore, and I realise you might be switching off, but that low histamine diet, if you've got kind of symptoms that are flaring up in the gut or with energy levels, and this podcast is about energy and vitality, it may be worth you looking into that. Okay, so far we have covered an app for tracking your health. We've covered 3 different antihistamine supplements. We've covered the low histamine diet. My bum is starting to get slightly damp sitting by the River Thames, so that may make me look slightly stupid walking home, but I don't care because I'm enjoying the sun at the moment. And one more thing to talk about, and that is wellness festivals. So one of the things that I've really enjoyed on this Zestology adventure over the last few years is going to various wellness festivals, biohacking festivals around the world, recording some podcasts while I'm there. It's a really nice way to... Do you know what? I've realised why all the ducks are gathered, because someone is throwing bread very close to me, and there's some very large ducks coming to feed on the bread. Just as long as they don't throw it on my head, it'll be fine. These wellness festivals are a really nice way of relaxing, especially if you're kind of into feeling good, and especially if, as you'll hear, there's a little bit of healthy hedonism going on. That's even better. So a couple of festivals that I thought would be worth talking about, and the first is the Health Optimization Summit, which is taking place in London in September, run by my friend Tim Gray, who's been a former podcast guest. 2 of the festivals or conferences that I've been to is Paleo Effects in Austin, in Texas, and the Biohacking Summit in Pasadena. I've been to that one 2 or 3 times, and both of them such a lot of fun. And the Health Optimization Summit is something a little bit similar in London in September. So there'll be plenty of biohacking going on. There'll be supplements and gadgets and hacks and practices. I'm potentially quite excited about it. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and you can seek them out online. I know they're selling some advanced tickets now. And that is the second weekend in September, I think around the 14th, 15th. The weekend before that is Verve Festival in southwest England near Salisbury, and I actually met up with Anne Hayward, who is organising that earlier today, and I think it's going to be a wonderful festival in the countryside. It's all about sustainability and localness. There's loads of healthy activities to do in the day and a bit of healthy hedonism in the evening. And I had a bit of a chat to Anna earlier on about it and recorded it. So the final Zest hack today is perhaps you should be going away for the weekend and just relaxing. Here's a short excerpt of my chat with Anna. That's almost it for today's podcast. Just to say thank you for listening. My rear is now well and truly damp. The ducks are getting closer to me. I hope this ZestHacks format has been helpful. There's quite a lot of stuff that I try on a regular basis. A lot goes through my head, all of it kind of fairly niche, but hopefully that's why you like listening to the podcast. And if you fancy knowing a little bit more, you can head to tonywrighton.com/hacks. Let me know what you think of this ZestHacks format. And here's Anna Hayward from the Verve Festival. And I'll be speaking at it in September. So maybe see you there.
I lived in London for 22 years and never really wanted to leave, but my husband's from Dorset and he was in the army down in Salisbury and never really took to the city. So it took him about 12 years, but finally persuaded me. And we left a year ago, and I can't believe how much I love it. I think, there's so much in the press these days about nature linked to wellness and health. And, I just sleep better down there. The sound of the birds in the morning, everything's so green, just going out for a walk. I thought going for a walk in Victoria Park was really peaceful. But obviously now, you can go out for hours and you don't see another person. So I absolutely love it. And the festival just came about really because I really like health and wellness and living well and exercise. And I just knew that when we moved down to the countryside, I just wanted to do something different. My background's hotels, but it's just something that kind of encapsulated all the things that I personally love, and just came up with the idea of putting on a festival one day, and here we are.
So you're right about the nature thing, and obviously nature that comes up so often as a theme on this podcast. Yeah. But you redefine what nature means when you move out of the city. I mean, we're here now in West London by the river, but we're still in London. We've still got. I can hear a lorry going past now, for example. This is different level nature where you are, isn't it?
It's next level. Really nice, and I love coming back up here, but then when I go back home after being in London for a day or 2 days, I just stand on the driveway and listen to the birds and look up at the stars. I mean, you don't see any stars here either, and we're almost in a dark skies area now.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole different way of living and pace of life.
So you're on a friend's farm?
Yes, we're on a friend's farm, and the festival is 2 days in September. It's the 7th and 8th, so you can come for a day or you can come for the weekend.
I'm hoping to come.
I hope you do.
Speak.
Yes, I hope you will.
Great. I want to be on a hay bale, standing on a hay bale.
We'll give you a hay bale.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And the whole event is just about health, wellness, fitness and nature. We were saying one of the biggest trends of this year, according to the Global Wellness Forum, is just getting outside, and people are being prescribed nature, going for a walk, just to improve their mental and physical health. So we're very much about that, and all of the activities on the festival are incorporating the land and the farm. So we've got workouts in the woods, so we hang TRXs and Olympic ropes from the trees, and we've got big tractor tyres.
Yeah.
We're doing farm runs as well, beautiful farm runs. I was out practising those at the weekend. Meditation in the ancient woodland, yoga, everything will be outside if the weather's good. So.
Well, I'm sure it will be. Second weekend in September.
Well, we got married that weekend and it was okay.
That
Fingers
used
crossed.
to be, in fact, it might still be the weekend of Festival. Which I've been to a few times, and I have to say it's not always roastingly sunny, but it's the end of summer, isn't it? It's fine.
And it's a festival. It doesn't matter. We'll still have a good time.
Now, something that I've asked everyone on this podcast is, what is one book that you would recommend and one tip for living with more energy?
Well, my book would have to be The Kindness Method by Sharu, who's going to be talking at Verve. I mean, her book is fantastic. Very good if you're wanting to change your habits, or start something new or break a habit. And then my tip for an energetic life would be, apart from watercress smoothies.
Oh, watercress smoothies. I'm not convinced by that. Maybe pea shoots.
Maybe,
but
a bit sweeter.
Yeah.
Probably, I just think there's so much benefit to a good night's sleep. I'll just say that.
Yeah. But you know that I'm not getting much sleep at the moment, which is probably why you've taunted me with that, the baby lack of sleep.
And eating well. I mean, just don't eat anything that's processed. I mean, it sounds, and you hear that everywhere, but all I eat is just fruit and vegetables and grains and pulses, and, you know, I eat meat, but local, you know, nothing... Yeah, I think just natural, healthy eating.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
I think people try to make wellness and health really complicated. And actually, if you eat well, get some sleep and do some exercise, you're kind of there.
I know. And it's not exactly like if I came to do a talk at Verve Festival and said that, everyone would be like, come on, give us a bit more. But actually, that is the kind of most important stuff, isn't it?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Do you find that... I mean, we get a lot of organic food, or pretty much all organic, and it's just so expensive. At the moment, it's austerity times at the moment, and it's just really hard if you're eating organic at the same time, isn't it? But maybe it's easier in the country.
Yeah, well, we grow our own vegetables. And
do you?
Yeah, there's a beef farm, there's a lamb farm close by. Our friends have got chickens, so we were saying it'd be really fun actually if you could just try and eat from within 5 miles of where we live.
Yeah,
I'd love to be able to do that. That's the plan.
Because are we allowed to say about your other job? You kind of work for hotels, don't you? And you do some work for the pig.
Yes.
And they have their 25-mile menu, don't they?
They do. I mean, yes. And they have a huge, one of the cornerstones of the pig is they have these kitchen gardens, and they grow so much of their own fruit and vegetables and herbs, etc. So they're all about that.
I've just had as a guest on the podcast Bea Johnson, who wrote a book called Zero Waste Home. It's a massive bestseller, and she started off with a blog and then kind of wrote the book. It's been translated into 29 countries, and it's all about zero waste living. And she started out living the American soccer mom lifestyle, and then they were like, actually there's a lot of waste involved. So the first thing is like refusing products and then recycling a lot of stuff, but there's a load of grow your own stuff as well. So
it must be so hard to lead a zero waste life.
Yeah, and actually she said it's not completely zero waste.
No.
For example, she really likes butter, and she found it was just so hard making her own butter, but she just went and bought it from the local shop, and it was fine. But what she also does, which is what I wanted to ask you about, is she composts. Now, do you compost?
Not yet, no, we don't. I'd like to. We don't really have space at the moment.
No.
I would like to. And get a worm farm.
Yeah, exactly. You get the worms in there. Apparently it's like one of the best things you can do. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, we've got some friends that have them. Yeah, they're great. They're fascinating as well.
Do you need a lot of space?
No, you don't. We haven't got round to it.
Okay. Can you tell how much I know about composting? Absolutely nothing.
I probably know less than you.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about the festival and get slightly discounted tickets? Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely.
I know I just sprung that on you, but
no. I mean, I'd happily do a discount for your listeners.
Yeah.
I'll send you the details and you can include it in the podcast. Okay. We'll do a code for you.
Code Zestology or something like that.
Code Zestology. Yeah. There we go. But the website is feeltheverve.com.
Yeah.
And Instagram is @VerveFestival.